Hey guys, it's Kitten, and this video I'm going to go on a very nerdy rant. Okay, does everyone remember what happened when 50 Shades of Grey was popular? Not the movie, but like the book in particular. The book was really popular and everyone was like talking about it. It was everywhere. I got super pissed by most of the reactions people were having over the book. It really bothered me how much people were overreacting by it. Why I was so pissed to begin with was that I am literally like an expert, literal expert when it comes to romance novels. Like, they're all I read for the last 5 to 6 years. It's all I've been reading. I not only read them, I write them as well. So I'm very experienced with the romance novel like atmosphere and world. So I know it from like back to front. So it really pissed me off when I saw these people freaking out by the sex scenes in the book. Like how graphic it is and how detailed the sex scenes were and stuff like that. And like everyone was like either being a prude about it or were just flabbergasted that there was so much detail. And I'm literally, while this was happening, I was just literally over there like this. What? That was terrible acting. But anyway, but like it just like I'm over here reading fucking books with naked men on them. Do people not know the concept of romance? There's sex. There's always sex. Oh my god. It really bugged me. The particular videos where these guys and girls were reading out like little sections of the sex scenes in that book. And they were like, oh my god, like how absurd does this sound? Like all the detail in it. And I'm just like, that's normal for romance novels. That's very normal. And like it pissed me off even more after I read the first book. After I read it, I'm like, this is exactly how all the other romance novels are. What? And like I was just very confused in why everyone was reacting. Like, what the fuck am I reading? It just, okay. I'm going to read a few sections from 3 completely different romance novels, just to give you an idea of how romance novels usually are. Like, I'm gonna be a little awkward when I read them, only because I'm not used to reading these out loud. At all. A man stood before the furnace, silhouetted against the orange fire. His back was to Lena. He was almost naked, covered only by a loincloth-like wrap that fit snugly around his hard buttocks, whatever. With long, powerful strokes, he hammered a flat metal object held firmly in place by an ancient-looking pair of tongs. With each fluid movement, his muscles tensed and released. His body was slick with a glossy sheen of sweat, highlighting the strong ridges of his well-shaped form. That was not sexy enough. Let's look for another one. Where are you, sexy? Where are you, sexy? I know you're here. I know you're definitely here. Okay, here's something a little more sexy from the same book. As he teased and sucked, his hand traveled down. First he caressed the length of her leg, molding his touch to her curvaceous muscles. Remembering that she desired him to pay attention to the small things, he teased the velvety area between her velvety area behind her knee. Then, following the unspoken cues of her body, he drew hot circles on her inner thigh. She opened and guided his hand to her core, showing him how to caress her sensitive bud, whispering breathless encouragement when his touch moved with her rhythm. That's book number 1. It gets more intense from here. Me looking for a sex scene. Me looking for a sex scene. His lip returned to reclaim hers with desperation, seared of a hunger too long denied, a hunger that might never relent. His kiss was long, hard, and punishing, and she reveled in his unspoken demands. A whimper escaped her when the pad of his thumb found the tiny nub of heat nestled between her folds, and Adriana's head dropped back as a word, I don't know, wave cast her up and up. Yielding to his fingers, his tongue and lips, she sacrificed the last verge of her restraint. There we go. There's book number 2. Now this book is what I'm reading currently, and they haven't even had actual sex yet. Just so you know, this book leans more on the erotica side of romance. Leaning down, he sucked one ripe pink point into his mouth and began to bathe it with his tongue. Lisa whatever. She moved helplessly under his tender assault. And that's all you're gonna get because it gets really graphic. Why not? I'll just show you how graphic it gets. This is just a taste of it. Ha ha, okay, sorry, I'm funny. Ha, laugh, please. She could feel her pussy getting hot, wet again as he sucked and licked her nipple. Romance novels. And yes, I write that shit. Actually, if you want me to, I can read a little bit if you want. Just saying. And just so you know, I'm not gonna do dialogue because this particular book that I will be reading from that I've written, I haven't finished it, but it's in Scotland and I try to make the dialogue as authentic as possible, and I am not reading that accent out loud. Not going to happen. Just keep in mind, I have not updated this particular scene for years now. So this was how I was several years ago, and I am definitely better at writing sexual scenes. So I'm not gonna read exactly what I have down, but I'm gonna read similarly. Juliet nodded and William groaned in her ear. He slipped in the tip of his finger and Juliet moaned. He gently covered Juliet's mouth so she wouldn't make a sound as he slipped his finger deeper. She moaned against his hand as he started to move it slowly inside her. That's from me. I write that shit. It weirded me out why people were freaking out about something so stupid. Literally, go to a romance novel section of a library or a bookstore, pick one, go home, read it. It's exactly the same way as 50 Shades of Grey. It really pissed me off, like how much people were freaking out over this stupid book. Just so you know, there is worse fucking books than 50 fucking Shades of Grey. Let me tell you, there is more graphic sex scenes in other books than 50 Shades of fucking Grey. So it's just, I will admit there is different degrees of sexualness with romance novels, but there's gonna be sex indications. One of the more tame sexually books that I read was actually Nicholas Sparks. I read Dear John, and there's only one prominent sex scene in that book that I remember, and it doesn't describe like the full sex scene, but it describes the beginning of it, and even then it's like not too graphic, but it's graphic enough. That was the tamest I've read. It gets worse as you go along. The particular books that I've read in this video are all books that have full sex scenes written out. Some are less graphic, some are more graphic. And see, like, it's a romance novel's writer's choice to make the sex scenes as graphic as they want. it just depends on the degree of sexiness they want. For me in particular, I want in between like the middle of sexiness and extreme sexiness. I just want it in the middle of that. And you'd be surprised that there is multiple different types of words that you can use for a vagina, a dick, a clitoris, like a labia. There's so many like different fucking like adjectives or nouns you can use to replace those scientific terms in a book. It's ridiculous how many words can replace those. It's pretty insane. That was one of the other things that people were weirded out with 50 Shades of Grey. That like they replaced like scientific sexual names with like these flirty, flowery like words for them. And that's like a really common thing in romance novels. Like you don't want to be reading a sex scene in a book and it says like he thrust his dick into a vagina. It's very stiff and, pun not intended, it's very stiff and like not fun to read. So the only reason people put in those weird flirty words to replace scientific terms is to make it more fun and like romantic and like, and just like it's a lot better than reading scientific terms. If you read multiple romance novels, trust me, it's a nice way to go around sex scenes. I got so pissed. I got so fucking pissed by all these fucking people that were bashing the book. Granted, that book could be better, honestly, but it frustrated me so much. And just so you know, almost every single book in my bookshelf is a romance novel. A few that aren't, that I haven't really read. So, yeah. I get why people were freaked out, or like not really freaked out, but like flabbergasted by 50 Shades of Grey. But come on, like, really? Is sex really that much of a, like, oh my god, sex in a book? Is that like, it just really bothered me, like a lot. Lesson of this video, pretty much, don't be weirded out by graphic sex scenes in romance novels. They're gonna be there. You're gonna find them. If you don't like that type of book, if you don't like sexual books, then don't read romance novels. It's that simple. With romance and a couple, there's gonna be sex and sexual tension. It's gonna be there. You can't get away from it. If there was no sexual tension and there was no sex, it would literally be about these two people, these two individuals that pretty much are just friends. That's it. Without sex, it's not a couple, like a romantic couple. I hope you enjoyed my really random rant about romance novels. It's just, I've repeated myself enough. I'm gonna go before I repeat myself more. Bye guys.